Hello and welcome to this video on one of the paintings of Lamoni's wife. What I'm doing here is just finishing up the pencil drawing, making sure that the most important lines are nice and dark so that they can be used in the final illustration. The lighter lines you'll see there are part of the initial sketch. I'm drawing on cold-pressed illustration board, double thick, and it doesn't really matter what I use for a pencil. In this case, I think it's a 4B pencil. I'll spray on some spray fixative and then put on a layer of matte medium. Sometimes I'll put more than one layer on to make sure the board is nice and sealed. The fixative makes sure that the pencil lines don't smear when I brush on the matte medium. On the left you can see the reference on the computer monitor that I'm using for the painting, and once the matte medium is dry I'll begin painting directly on that. I'm using oil paints and laying in my darks first. Now this is a vignetted piece. It won't have a full background. It's just meant to top, I think, to top one of the pages. The layout's not done yet, but in my preliminary layouts, that's what it's doing. So the background will be white, and I want, for a certain sense of drama, since this is a moment where she is very sad and believes that, well, others believe that her husband might be dead. So I want to really make sure that the darks are dark. To do that, I'm using a mixture of transparent darks, alizarin crimson, and Payne's Gray, Ultramarine Blue, and Viridian, which is a type of green. All those together make for a real rich dark color. Normally I wouldn't start with something as bright as the lips. I just really wanted to paint them, so I jumped into that to start. With the most vibrant colors in the lips and the darkest darks in the hair established, I can now compare the other values to those. Nothing should be brighter and more vibrant than the lips, and nothing should be darker than these shadow areas of the hair. I'm laying in other areas of the face right now, and just kind of putting them in pieces, making subtle adjustments with some of the skin tones. And then a miracle happened and we got to this point. You know, when I turn on the camera while I'm painting in the studio, I'll turn it off when I think there's an area that's getting too boring, and then I'll sometimes forget to turn it back on. And so we jump to something like this, and I'm afraid this entire video is going to be a bit like that, so I apologize. But I hope that what I have up here is of value. Laying in the rest of the darks, and then I'll do that kind of throughout the piece. Lay in the darkest darks and get an idea of what everything else should be compared to that value. At this stage, even though I have a very careful pencil drawing for this illustration, you can see that I choke back on the brush. I do really like holding a long brush out far to the end. It just helps it feel loose as I lay in some of these more abstract shapes while laying in a painting. I begin to lay in the value on the arm and the skin shadows, I'm basing it compared to, and you can't see it very well in the video, but making sure that it's lighter than the dark shadow that's behind that arm. Now I'm laying in Lamoni's the planes of his face, and you can see the different values, more of a gray skin tone toward his jaw, a little bit of ruddiness by his cheek. I don't want to give too much away. In the visual, Lamoni is supposed to, by some, thought to be dead, but I do want to give him a little bit, a hint of life in his cheeks. And with all the pieces finished up, we have the illustration for Lamoni, and I hope that you enjoy seeing it when it pops up in the book.